Hi, I'm Martin Smith here at Shost Vineyards, and I came into a problem with the backhoe, and that is the size of the hydraulic flow lines. The main line, instead of a number 14, the main line instead of a number 12, they used a number 14. This is a good example. It is a 14 to a 12, and how they gauge this is by the ID, inner diameter, and they're going by inches. They're taking an inch, they're dividing it up in 10 places, and in this case they're actually this is old machining practices where they divide it up into 5 places. So we have 700 thousandths, and well, it's plus 21 thousandths on this one, but it's no less than 700 thousandths. And what they're doing is they're multiplying that by 2. So every 50 thousandths is considered to be a 1. So 7 times 2 is 14. Come over here to this side, and it's 600 thousandths. These numbers are upside down to you. And so this would be a size 12. Now in the books, if you're ordering these things, they will give you the major and minor diameters. The major diameter is the largest diameter of the pit, major pitch diameter. And what we're looking for are these diameters right here, the outside. That would be the major. And if you're looking at this, the ID side, you'd be measuring the ID, and that would be the minor pitch diameter. The minor pitch diameter on these would be found on the inside. Would be found, how do I put it? So this is the outside of the thread, and we come down lower, and that would be the inside, where the thread bottoms out, right in the middle, and that would be the smallest diameter. In theory, you can put calipers in there, but you would pretty much have to. In theory, you can put calipers in there, but you'd pretty much have to file them down or grind them down real sharp. It's generally not worth doing that to a set of calipers. On the hoses, on the numbers on hoses, this is a 14 hose, and as you can see, it's 70 thousandths here, and it's okay if it goes over a little bit because this is an old hose. And that is how they determine the size. So this is a number 14 hose. It's 700 thousandths, or just take 7, multiply it by 2 is the easiest way to do it. And it is working in inches. It would have been easier to do this system in metric. The reason why they, like I say, old school, the reason why they numbered them this way is when they put them up on a shelf and file these things away and put them in storage, it's better to have a number system where there's only 2 numbers. If you have a number system where there's 3 numbers, it takes employees longer to write things down. It takes longer for the paperwork to get through. This was developed back when everything was done with a single strike typewriter, also before metric. It would have been easier to do this in metric and to have this done in millimeter, but it wasn't that way. Now my problem was on this one is the 14, or the size 14, they've pretty much shut this size down. Most companies don't use them anymore. It's outdated, and the reason they do it is the machines that make them. As soon as you go above a size 12, the machinery that is used to make these things, the cost of making them skyrockets. So instead of probably 75 cents to make this part right here, it would be closer to $1.50. So they're going to double the price. So I went into a hydraulic hose shop thinking I'm going to spend between $80 and $110, and the hose was $250, and I was in sticker shock. So getting back to this one here, on top of that, this is why, another reason why you want to stay away from older machines, if you can afford to stay away from older machines, is they don't make maintenance easy. This piece here fits up underneath. The hose, it took me about an hour to fish it back through. It took me about 10 hours to get it undone. And probably can't see it, but it is right there, if you can see it. And here is the other end. So I've got a few inches up through here, and I think how they assembled it is they took this whole cab off, seat, control steering box, the steering wheel, the whole front end of the cab off. And the only way I can get to it is either by taking some old wrenches, cutting them, and making them go this direction rather than this direction. So instead I went to the machine shop, or on my brake, on my machine shop, I just made myself a wrench. And what this allows me to do is to get it from this, instead of attacking it from this direction, I can attack it this way, move it, and then just go a little bit at a time. And it's real slow to do it, but that's just what has to be done because it goes right up here. As you can see, that is all the space that I have to work with. There we go, got it to focus. This here is a 3-inch machine. It will run 3-inch diameter bars. And the problem with going larger with the size 14 hydraulic hoses is that the bigger diameter, more metal has to be cut out of it. And that steel is very expensive. So as soon as you get above 1 1/4 inch in size, the price and cost of it goes up exponentially. These machines generally have a 6-foot bar feed rather than a 12-foot bar feed, and that makes an extreme difference. It means you have about an 8 to 12-inch drop at the end of each bar that comes out and it doesn't get made into parts. So this is all about money, and this is the reason why the 14s are being discontinued. If you look behind me here, behind this machine, the one behind it, it is always running. It is a Star 32, and that's a 32 millimeter, about 1 1/4. And that machine runs every day, and we sometimes let it run at night. The cost difference is exponential between the drops, the extra cost of the steel as you go bigger, and also the electricity, the tooling, and you add it all up, it's 4 times more expensive to run a part to run the size 14 as it is to run the size 12, and it's just a slight difference. So what happens is all the companies that make the hydraulic equipment find that it's cheaper to up the PSIs than it is the pressure in the hoses to go to a 34, 38, 4200 PSI pressure than it is to go to a bigger hose. So that drops down the amount of that particular size hose, and when they want, as soon as they go up, as soon as the hoses start getting expensive, what they did is they skipped the next size up, which is they skipped the 14. Pertec, where I get my hoses from, they told me that they shut the company down, the plant down, once a year just to run the size 14 parts. And that again, it drives the cost up even more because then you have inventory that's hardly used. So it's exponential atop of exponential. And this is the reason why the 14 is likely to be discontinued. So if you are looking to buy equipment, you need to pay attention to what size hose it is. If it's real small hose, don't worry about it. It's going to be cheap. You can go to an auto parts store and get it made that day. As soon as you get the larger hoses, then that is no longer true. So if you need a wrench that's bigger than 1 1/8 in size to take that hydraulic hose off, then it's most likely going to get real expensive. So if you will notice, this machine does not have a barrel underneath it. The reason being is that we have this as more of a draw for our customers. This machine is one of those special big machines that very few companies have. And in doing that, it brings in potential customers. But the machine's not used because it's so expensive to use. It's usually the Star 32s, the Star 20s, the 16s, and we even have some Star 12s here. You see in the background we've got more bar feeders being set up to bring in other machines, and one over here on this side. I don't even run on these machines. I generally just repair them, and I work milling and inspections here. So